Okay, let's do this. So, thank you all for coming. And basically, what we're going to be learning about today is trend lines. So, trend lines, super easy topic. Really, the only basis we need to know. There's really one thing you need to know when it comes to trend lines. One moment. So, first thing is we need to look at 3 bounces minimum. Man, I'm going to spell minimum wrong. I'm just going to do min. Okay. So, basically, that's all we got to see when it comes to a trend line. So to get started, you just got to find 3 places where you can hit the trend line and see it hold. So we're just going to go through a few examples, right? We need to see 3 bounces, 3 good bounces. So first, 1, 2, 3. It can be wicks, it can be bodies, however you prefer, but really comes down to you need to be consistent when you're going through this. So let's look at this is the weekly time frame. So here's one bounce. I'll put them out for you guys. There's one bounce. There's 2. And there is 3. This makes it a valid trend line. So if I was looking at something like this would not be a valid trend line when it broke through here. So you wouldn't want to take a trade like this. That it only has 2 touches. So really that's as simple as it gets. That's the whole basis when it comes to trend lines. But we're going to look at how I actually use trend lines. So the most important thing is I don't really base a trade off of trend lines. I add it to my confluences. I base my trades off of support and resistance. And so like an example of how I would do this is, let's say we have support here, right? We've got an area of support right in here. And what we're looking for is I'll go to lower time frames. We're going to add lower support on the lower time frames. We go here, right? And then basically I need to find my trend lines to be able to understand the market is changing direction or this stock is changing direction. So the only way I can do that is based on trend lines and market structure. So the first thing is see how we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches here. This isn't perfect, but it's still a strong enough trend line where we have 3 touches besides this here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. And so as you can see, we're looking at the weekly time frame. We're seeing that it's retesting this previous low here and holding above it as a demand zone. And so what we see from there is we're holding, right? We have this trend line that we've been forming. And then we go to the daily time frame. We've got this nice trend line we've been following. We go to that 4-hour. And this can work for any time frame. Using trend lines can work for any time frame. So we go lower, and really the daily one is the only one we're really going to find in this chart. So, which is okay. We have the one trend line break that gives us the trade opportunity. And I want to show you guys an example of a break and retest on a trend line. So you guys have probably heard me talk about the break and retest. Basically, I'll go over it real quick just so you have an idea, but I'm not going to do a whole teaching on it. So say this is a stock. That's a level right there, support or a resistance level. When a stock breaks above, most people would buy the breakout here. I prefer to take my trades on the retest, which the retest is when it breaks above and holds, then we see the stock correct, come back down to support, and then break to the upside, right? Okay, so this is where I would take my entry. As a lot of people will take the entry once it breaks above, and then it will end up pulling back on them and getting them stopped out. And almost, I'd probably say 8 out of 10, don't quote me on this, but 8 out of 10 times when it has a pullback, it breaks up. upside even further after that retest than the initial break of the level. So we know what we understand what this is. So let's go look at a good example of a trend line break. So that's what it looks like for support and resistance. This is what it looks like for trend lines. Okay. So we go down to the smaller time frame, or we're on the daily. We go here. We draw these trend lines, 3 touches, right? Maybe I saw this on the 4-hour. Would that support be considered resistance now? If I go back to that chart, let's see. So would it be considered now support? In this example here, this was resistance when the stock was down here. So you're initially looking at it and you see it has resistance. So this is resistance right here. It breaks above it and then comes back down, corrects, and finds it as support. So to answer your question, it would be it was resistance and now it has become support. Does that answer your question? And so if we go look at the lower time frame on here, break and retest normally happen on the lower time frames. And so as you can see here, this was the break of the trend line, right? And this was the retest. So this area here, after the break, this area was the retest, where it came back down, held this as support, and then came to a demand zone here, held, did a nice hammer over the on the retest and at support. That's why you always want to use support as your first reason of taking a trade, and then ultimately broke upside. So that's really what it all comes down to. And there's not too much more to teach about it. The same way I would take this trade, unless I'm looking at really how I would take this is the retest on this. That's what I'm trying to explain. If I go look at a different stock, sometimes I won't use the retest. Sometimes I'll just take the initial breakout. Like, for example, on a firm that we took this week, the stock ended up going 20%. And so how I ended up taking this trade was I saw we were at support. We were holding the support. There's 2 touches, 3 touches. If you go to the daily time frame, you can see it clearer. We're holding the support, right? And so then that's what I saw on the weekly. We were holding a major support level, new lows, and we were oversold on the stochastics. I go to the daily time frame. Okay, so I can see some sort of trend kind of forming here, right? And so we'll go in here, we'll draw it out. You can see it like flirting with it, finally breaks above, and then retests it here. See if we can make this better. Okay, so I think this is what I had drawn. You can anticipate the breakout, you can play the breakout, or you can play the break and retest of it. So this is what I was looking at. This is how we caught the move. I saw a double bottom on the 4-hour. So we'll go start from the higher time frame. Weekly support, right? Oversold stochastics. Go to the daily. We have earnings coming up, which is a catalyst. And then on the daily time frame, we had a pin bar hammer looking candle here, right? And we had strong volume. It was above average volume. We go to the 4-hour. You can see we have a double bottom right here and right here. Oh, that's too big. So double bottom on the 4-hour. We go to the 1-hour. We ultimately, did I really have a reason on the 1-hour to take this? No, I didn't. So it really came down to the weekly, daily, and 4-hour were the timeframes that agreed with my analysis. And so I took the break here at the close of day, wrote it up, caught 20% per share, and that's how I did it. I just found this trend line. I used it. So here's one that I'm looking at for ES. 3 valid touches. This is probably the most perfect trend line I've seen in a while. But you can see the peak of every single time on this downtrend has been at this trend line. So what am I guessing is going to happen? We're probably going to make a move right back up to this trend line, whatever that may be. I'm guessing around 405 on SPY. And if we want to get technical about it, we can draw a level, right? This is where I think it's going to go. And so it could be a little bit off, but based on these trend lines, we have 3 bounces here. Now we are forming a falling wedge type. You could call it a bull flag too, because we have this pole move that we're forming now. After this most previous bounce, we're finally being able to gather that information. And so that's because we had this already, right? We knew this a few months ago, this trend line, but we didn't know of this one. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3 bounces. And so it makes it a valid trend line. So this is the pattern I'm watching for SPY. I'm going to try and continue to play it. If I had to guess next, we probably reject and have a move back down to either have equal new lows, or I think more than likely we will end up going to pre-COVID highs. So that's what I'm looking for. And yeah, that's it. Then a double top on a firm. Let me go look at that. What time frame? Most likely the 1 hour. Yep, double top, boom, boom, right there. So a breakout level to take this would be here. Okay, so that's really all I got for you guys. Like that's the entire idea behind trend lines. This is probably the easiest class I've had to teach, and because there's not much to it. I mean, you need 3 touches, and you want it to kind of look pre-COVID highs seem to be very important because it was before the most recent crash, the COVID crash. That the levels that happened before that, were the high and the low, are extremely significant levels when it comes to bear markets and things of that nature, crashes, stuff like that. Those levels tend to be very important if you go back and look in time. So here's that crash, right? So that's the high, that's the low. And that's kind of where we ultimately caught. We had a fake out because we had an extreme drop, and then this is what's called a liquidity grab, where the candle goes and closes below to get people to buy puts as breakout traders or to get stopped out. And then ultimately they push the price back up just for it to go for new highs. Does that answer your question? Just like market events like that, economic stuff, like the highs and lows of this area are important. The highs and lows of this area are important because they're major corrections and bear marks that happen. Here's another one. Yep. Is what the same? Is what the same for swing traders and day traders? Meta. What would you like to know about Meta?
Is it correcting after earnings? It was a huge sell-off, and then people are buying back for that liquidity, that scenario.
Is it possible that could happen? Is that what you're asking?
Is it what's happening now?
I mean, no, not yet, because we haven't had really a move. So like the reason why that mattered in that scenario is because we closed below. So like think about it. Most traders are taught to be breakout traders, or they have a level for their stops. So people are either playing breakouts or bounces of levels. That's what most traders are. And so if we go down and look at this, the We had a weekly candle close below, which would have stopped most people out. It would have got most people into a put position because of the close below this very key level here. And ultimately, they push the price down, get the people excited, right? More and more people are buying puts. And then boom, we had to move to the upside, which faked all the people that had scenarios played out for this level. Does that make sense?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Um, can we look at meta? Yep. Meta. Okay. I think we could bounce. We could bounce here more than like, or I don't know. I was thinking about playing meta calls at some point soon. It's on my watch list or one of the stocks that I'm kind of keeping an eye on this week. So reason being is if we do the analysis for this, if we go to the weekly time frame, we're at very important support. We go to the daily because we're near $100 too. That's a big psych level, but this is the $97 level is the actual level. Okay, so here we're having buyers refuse to push it lower. We're entering oversold on the daily, which doesn't matter too much, but we have the same thing going on for the weekly. We go to the 4 hour. Okay, now this becomes somewhat interesting, right? So we have this spinning top or spinning bottom, sorry. And then we go to look at this lower time frame. We are starting to form a trend line here, right there. Okay. So now, right now, we're looking like we're forming a bearish pennant, you'd call it, but it's a triangle where it could play out either way. Honestly, I think more than likely it's going to chop like this, create a bear flag, get people to buy in and buy puts, and then they're probably going to shoot it up and stop everybody out. That's my guess. I've seen this story before. So more than likely, we'll probably get a move to 110 area. Maybe that's a pretty bold prediction, but really don't listen to that. I need to pull more levels for that, but I think we're probably going to break upside from this. And okay, can we look at Tesla? Yes. Okay, so Tesla got a lot of analysis on this. I am in Tesla right now. So if we clear this chart off and just redo it, we can see we have a strong demand area here that seems to be very important because we're continuing to hold it. And so now we got a weekly demand zone, right? The most likely place we are probably going to go is this area here. Probably right around there.
Wouldn't fill the gap between 260, the little
Uh
gap first.
below 260. Oh, yeah. Yep. So this is just an added reason why. So, but look at it from the bigger perspective. Every time we've moved past this level, so if I pull this back here, look at where we go pretty much every time. Here, we never went below. We ultimately ran back up here. Next time we came close to it, we ran right back up. So more than likely, we'll probably end up going to close to 300. But yes, there is a gap that you could definitely play here and would consider taking profits here, depending where SPY's at and everything. But yeah, we have an easy move to at least 262. So I ultimately think it's going to go to 300, but yeah, that's my analysis for Tesla. Weekly time frame looks good. We had an inside bar here. We had the breakout on this previous candle, oversold conditions. We had good volume on this candle. We go to the daily. We have a double bottom that's formed here and here. Man, I always do that second one too big. Okay. And then if we go to the 4 hour, we have that double bottom. Where's the most recent high or low? Yes, technically it's here, but we never close above. So I want to grab a level that's actually it couldn't hold. So here, and then we look at this pin bar on the 4 hour. We go to the 1 hour, and we formed a bull flag here and broke upside before close. So that's my analysis. It looks very bullish. Peggy. What is Peggy? Is that a stock? Pineapple Energy? Um, I don't know anything about this. But if I had to guess, it's probably going to go down. It looks like it. I mean, it rejected the most recent higher low or lower low. And this candle looks bearish. This is a hanging man. We rejected here, created a hanging man, and now we are pushing lower. We'll probably go to new lows. Ooh, I might. That's interesting. I might play that. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions you guys got? Oh, other question. How many days or hours in advance I have to see those charts if I want to buy the stock? I mean, you can really you can buy it however it doesn't matter. It just matters how much time you buy on your stock, or I mean your option, how much time you buy on it. If you're buying the stock, it doesn't really matter. You just need to see multiple time frames agreeing with your thesis. I would say that I like the 3 chart rule. I need to see 3 charts of these, 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to see 3 of these look bullish or bearish to be able to take a trade. That's it. Any other questions? Anything? No. All right. Well, I do want to let you guys know that I did. Do you think Netflix will fill the gap? SQQQ. Okay. Okay. Man, you guys came out with it the last second. That means you were thinking about it. Okay. Do you think Netflix will fill the entire gap? Uh, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's pretty bullish. So is the market. It broke out of this flag here. It's been pushing. Might have a little pullback and then have a move to fill that gap. It may even come down here and fill this gap and then go retest this area. That's where I would be interested in entering. If it pulled back to here. It's a pretty far pullback, but it's possible. And then, but yeah, I definitely think it could. SQQQ. Hmm. Can we see? So this is an inverse of not SPY, but you know, NASDAQ. We have a valid trend line here. See, 1, 2, 3, 4 bounces. What else can we see here? A double top. That's a very obvious thing. So more than likely, we're probably going to move back down to here, this 36 level. And really it's it's a double top. Other analysis, we have, looks like we got a trend line forming here. Maybe we don't. But yeah, that's pretty much my analysis on this one. It looks bearish just as SQ or NASDAQ looks bullish. AMD. Okay. AMD. I think AMD is bullish. I did play this a little while ago. Just because we're holding this key support here. We'll probably get a move back up to 74, 75. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens during earnings. The only problem is that uh earnings is coming up, so you don't really want to play that. So any other questions? But yes, AMD does look bullish. Pretty much. I mean, it's got a bear flag, but I'm not convinced. If it breaks upside, this isn't the first bullish trade I would take because it looks like it's forming a bear flag. This channel. I would see which way it breaks out. SQQQ looks bearish to me because it's the inverse of the Nasdaq, which is QQQ. So I think it's bearish, and QQQ looks bullish. You guys got any other questions? No? Okay. So I do want to let you guys know I did screw up on the whole coupon code thing. I did it completely wrong. So if you want to sign up, I did 2 weeks free instead of one, and then the 25% off of week free is the same exact thing, in terms of value and money spent. But yeah, so that's live. It's going to be live until tomorrow at midnight, and that's when it will be shut off. If you guys want to sign up, please do. The link is in the Discord. But other than that, thank you guys for coming, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the markets. You signed up and don't see the new parts. Okay, so go look at your email, and you should have an email from LaunchPass. It's going to have an activation code. You're going to need to go to copy that, go to the Discord's member list of all the people that's in there. It's on the right side if you swipe left, and go to the LaunchBot, DM them that code, and you'll be good to go. And it will show up that stuff. If it doesn't, email me. All right, cool. All right, guys, have a good night. I will see you for the market start tomorrow.